That's what to do. Oh. Oh, I got a lot of work to do. Well, not really. I don't really got a lot of work. I just got more videos to edit this time. I got all I got all my videos and my pictures uploaded. Morning, everyone. I'm about to get started. I'm about to edit some pictures and videos from a store grand opening that I did yesterday. So I'm trying to decide which one I want to edit first. I probably might start with the pictures. 'Cause I think the video may take a little bit more time. All right, how many? Okay, so roughly I got 55 images. Not too bad. I really shot these with the ISO setting set on auto because I really didn't have time to play around between my videos and my pictures. So I had to be flexible on how I took my shots. So I left the ISO setting on auto, and usually I'm in control of my ISO, but I let the camera decide on what was the best ISO, and I set my flash to TTL instead of it being manual. Because usually when I'm using flash, I like to be in control of the lighting, but this time, I had to swap since it was just me. I was doing some videography and photography, so I didn't really have time to play around with with settings and things of that nature. So I just left the ISO on auto, and I just swapped back and forth between photos and pictures, and I just kept my camera flash, which is a Godox V860, and um, I just left it on TTL, which just to feel the flash in the room. But overall, I think I think the images still came out pretty good. They sharp enough for me. Um, Not a whole lot of grain, things like that. So I just more so just want to, capture the moment. Um, so yeah. But usually what I do, I just look at them, to make sure, everyone was in focus. So usually I just look at their faces and things like that. And here I just took a picture of a customer holding the drink. Um, this was the bartender. And like I said, I just usually just take a glance at the pictures, just to make sure the image is caught focused. And I can see here this image is kind of overexposed, but I'll deal with that. Yeah, just a little overexposed, but I can deal with that. Like I said, in the edits, I just need to lower the highlights and everything. But right now at this moment, I'm just looking at the pictures, just make sure that everyone was in focus. But there is a setting or tool you can use to where AI basically goes through your pictures and kind of detects whether or not an image was in focus or not. See, this image here, I can look at it and tell was not in focus. So I'm just gonna put I usually put check marks on them so I know that I want that I like them. So when I filter them out, I filter out all the images that were in focus. Um, uh-oh, what do I do? Let's go back. There we go. You know, I usually like to capture people's faces, but this shot in particular, I just wanted to kind of, show people in the store shopping. So I'm gonna leave that as is. So yeah, like I said, I'm just going through them. If I like them, see, I intended on making them both in focus, but they didn't really turn out the way I like. But it's okay. But I just wanted to show, the interaction amongst, people shopping in the store. So I'm just filtering and choosing the ones that I like. And like I said, I just wanted to show people shopping in the store and just want to show the interaction. And like I said, I basically shot this all. Uh,
Okay.
I don't know what the word was that, but I usually shot this all with the ISO on auto because I really didn't have that much time to play with a lot of settings. So this is how I'm spending my Sunday morning, going through pictures, looking at them, make sure they were all in focus. Like I said, I'm just doing the grand opening, and like I said, I was swapping between doing some video and taking pictures, so I really didn't have that much time to play with settings on manual mode. So I just more so just left the ISO on auto to let the camera decide what was the best lighting. And I just used the flash just to feel. So I just used TTL. Well, like I said, I'm just going through them just to see which images were in focus and what were not in focus. And I'm just checking them. And then I start my, well, she wasn't quite in focus, but I so happened to got those three. But I'll take it. All right. I'm just about almost done. Like I said, I'm just checking to see which images caught focus. And after I get done editing and putting some color grading on these pictures, then I get started on the videos. So I guess as one might say, I'm kind of going through process of elimination to see which images came in focus and which not, which I really could save some time by using the assist tool in Lightroom to where it filters out images that weren't focused. But I just kind of like to do that myself because sometimes AI does a great job, but sometimes I just like to kind of hands on with that for myself just to see which images were good and what were not. And I shot this all with using my Sony 7R3, and I've had that camera for quite some time. Like I said, I haven't bought any new gear or anything like that. And like I said, this is the store. This one's a little overexposed, but I can play around with that. All right. So I just did my process of elimination. So I'm probably about to start my image editing. So I have my own preset put together. So usually what I do, I just take one photo. Mic check. Mic check. Okay, I don't know. Well, I got a message talking about my mic wasn't working. Mic check. I don't know. Well, I got a message talking about my. This one might be the one I might do a little different though. Let's put the highlight down on this. Yeah, this one was a little overly exposed. It's okay. I can play around with this and I think that's, yep, that looks better. Said this image was a little overexposed, but I was able to adjust it to how it needed to be. And I'm gonna do the same thing for this image because it was kind of shot the same way. So I'll just copy it and then I'll just paste the settings onto this one and that should correct it right there. But I don't want it too dark, so I'll just brighten it up just a tad. I think that's better. So I'm just kind of looking at all the images to see what all needs a little lighting correction right now. So well, I think this lighting's fine the way it is. Now this one, as I look at it, it's a little overly exposed. So I'm gonna bring this down. Okay, I think that looks better. I might raise the shadows just to get a good look at her face. I, you know, and I had to make sure the rest was the same way. But yeah, it's cool. I just raised it just to her, but I think that's fine. Raise it just a tad. Right. Raise the exposure just a tad, but I think the lighting is exposed good enough. All right, this is kind of overly exposed. So might crop to that one. I'll do all my cropping last. I think I'm gonna raise this just a tad. It's like there's always a give and take. Like when you mess with the highlights a little bit, you're always gonna lose some light in your photo. So for whatever highlight I decrease, I raise exposure just a little bit. So I don't want the image to be too dark. So I think this was exposed pretty good. I'm just gonna raise it just a little. And I'm actually gonna copy this and do it for the next images. I think they're all kind of the same. And I'm gonna just paste it. Let me undo what I just did. Because some of those images look like they were a little too bright. Like Apple Watch now?
Actually, I don't be texting on my phone. I don't just text on my phone.
It's convenient.
I really got it for work. You can't have the phones back then.
That's smart. Cause sometimes I text on my watch more than I do my My phone.
I let you watch them.
It's just convenient.
We'll get a gas when it work. Like,
You said the Galaxy.
that's good stuff. It's like charging too much for 2 feet to get from the phone. Okay, it's a nice little deal. You got me. Are you three something? Like, nah, I do 2 feet right now.
That's smart.
I said, huh? You got it. I said, I'll be right back. Yeah, nice little deal.
Oops. Not what I was trying to do. Okay, I know these two images. I know I'm gonna have to do something about those. Just from looking at them, I can tell they're overly exposed. But all these images is from grand opening that I was proud to participate in yesterday. So I did some video and some pictures. So I'm doing the pictures first, which is easier to edit. I didn't have to play around too much with my settings because I shot in manual mode. But while I was in manual mode, I left the ISO at auto, so I let the camera decide what was the best ISO setting. But I was in control of the shutter speed and the aperture. And I had a Godox VA60 flash. Usually when I'm using flash, I'm always in control of the lighting, but this time I didn't really have the time to to play around back and forth with settings because I was doing video and pictures. So I just left the ISO on auto and the flash. I left on TTL. I let the flash determine the brightness and of course I always arrive an hour early, at the location where I'm supposed to do shoots or to test out my lighting. So I test out the shots. TTL, I let it determine what was the best flash output, and I just increased it just slightly. So so I was satisfied with how the images turned out. You say despite the ISO being high as it was, but I try not to push the ISO setting as high as 3200. So all right, this the image that I'm going to have to do something about. Of course, this is overly exposed, and I wasn't trying to shoot overly exposed, but I do have everyone in focus. So here's what I would do. I'm going to, of course, bring the highlights all the way down. And I'm going to bring the exposure down until I feel like they're not so highlighted. And with that, I may have to bring these shadows down. So I'm going to bring the shadows down just a tad. Probably about half. All right, so I think this looks better. All right, so I think I said I don't want the images to be overly exposed, but I just want them to look natural. Okie dokie. So I think I'm done with my color grading and my lighting correction. I think I'm gonna bring this down just a little. Yeah, because I did shoot this overexposed, but it wasn't on purpose. And yeah, I think I'm gonna bring this down just a tad, but I think that's good enough. And like I said, I took all these pictures at a grand opening, and my client asked me to do both video and pictures. More so, she wanted more pictures, but um with that being said, since it was just me, is I didn't have no other person there with me to assist, so I really didn't have time to play around with settings and manual mode. So um I let my Sony A7R III, choose the best ISO setting while I was in control of the aperture and shutter speed. Far as the video, and when it was time to take pictures, far as the flash, um, of course I left the ISO setting still on auto, but I shot flash in TTL. Usually I'm in control of the flash in manual mode, but like I said, I just didn't have time to go back and forth, to switch between settings. But like I said, I was satisfied with how all these images turned out shooting in that setting. Like I said, usually I don't usually shoot my flash in TTL, and I don't usually shoot um my shots while the ISO is on auto either. But like I said, I didn't have time to play around with settings, especially me switching back and forth to video and photo. Yeah, but like I said, I'm happy with how all the images turned out. So uh, And surprisingly, this was the highest ISO setting. I think it was at 6400, but I did shoot it with an aperture. I think it was a high aperture that I shot this one. Let me see. What did I shoot this aperture in? Okay, I shot it in 5.6, and I wanted to make sure I capture everybody, which I did. Everyone was in focus, which was my goal and objective. Now, usually, when I'm doing portraits and stuff like that, especially when I'm shooting a client on a session, I usually do skin touching, and all this stuff. But because my client just wanted pictures taken of the grand opening, this will suffice. Like I said, I just did some color grading, and as I was, you know, going through my images, like I said, I was just going through them just to make sure that all the images were in focus, and the ones that didn't come out so sharp or that weren't in focus, I just put a X check mark on them just to filter it out. Uh, because I always want my clients to get the best and sharpest images. So now that I'm well, I may do just a slight color grade. Well, not a color grade, just a masking to where I probably just do just a little soft touch, uh, skin smoothing, but nothing too crazy. But yeah, this was roughly 52 images that came out good. All total, I had 55, but there were three of them that didn't turn out so sharp. I'm gonna do something about this one. Uh, bring the highlights down. This one looks like it was slightly overexposed. But I think this looks better now. And maybe this one, I'm probably just bring the highlight down. And I think this looks good. I think it's good. Alrighty. Not sure how this is going to turn out due to the fact that there's a whole bunch of individuals there. Just curious to see, can I do a mask just to give it a little smoothing, just to see how many people it's going to try to detect. Okay, you got the body and skin. Okie dokie. And we'll just create. We'll create a mask for all the subjects, but I'm only selecting their skin and their face, and I'm just gonna go here, do a quick what in the world? There we go. I'm gonna do a smooth skin, nothing crazy. And I think that looks good for the skin smooth and touch up, nothing crazy. Now, far as how I'm going to do all the other pictures, I am going to just copy the mask only. All right, just the mask only is what I'm going to select. Gonna merge them all together. And I'm letting Lightroom and AI do its thing. That's all I can do for now. I try not to disturb nothing while AI doing its thing. Updating 2443. Oh, it's also be good to make sure you have a nice laptop with a decent processor that can handle these kind of edits. Like I said, I shot all the images on a Sony A7R III, which is a very high resolution camera. If you don't have the type of processor to handle these kind of images, I promise your computer, your laptop is gonna move very slow, very slow. We almost there. I'm at 80%, 83. We getting somewhere. We getting somewhere. Come on, 94%. So what I did, I just did a masking on all the images to select the subject, only their face and their skin, so to make it smoother on the images. I haven't really did any spot healing tools or anything like that. I don't think that's really necessary for this kind of style of shoot. Well, it wasn't really a shoot, but it was more so me capturing moments of a grand opening. So I don't really think that smooth that spot healing is really necessary in these kind of images. So I just did just a little simple smooth skin smoothing on here. All right, now I'm finished. So usually what I do, I just like to go back through all of the images just to see how they all turned out. So I just kind of zoom in to see if it turned out okay. And Now I might zoom in. I might do a little cropping on these images. Okay, well it did detect some faces and things like that. So like I said, I'm just going through and just make sure that the skin smoothing tool worked out for all the images. I think that's cool with that. Let's see. Well, I guess I'm not gonna be lazy. I could just go through just to see what I can touch, parts of the skin I can touch up on. Men don't really care about their skin being smooth and all touched up, but I just do a little spot and drag so I won't be trying to constantly. If they have a mold, let them have their mold. Like I said, we try not to do too much. Okay, I think I'm pretty much done, y'all, with the images. So I went through all the images and I did a little color grading and yeah, I did a little color grading and I selected them all. Just doing a just doing a little okay. Look, you even got the stove? Okay. What you about to give?
99 cents what she wants.
Oh,
Yeah, she can have a treat that night. Get my stomach.
where y'all go?
She is first with sister and stuff like they were throwing and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Then we were with them. See, they doing something down or something. That's it.
You see, I'm going live, right?
You want to do live right now?
Yeah, I'm live on YouTube. I'm doing the little short thing, and then I'm mhm. See, that's what you need to do for your game.
I'm going. I'm gonna start on TikTok.
I got to show you how to set your stuff up though.
You need to get with them money.
I'm probably gonna end up getting it. Probably not this week. I did get paid, but I'm gonna wait. I'm trying to let my savings stack up just a little bit, but I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get the Republic Game of Month since I already got the laptop. I'm gonna sit it right there. Like I said, I'm moving the game. I'm moving all that right here. I told you this is my station right here. Yep, this is my station right here. Whew. They said it's supposed to rain today. What time? I don't know. I just know I gotta leave from here around 4 o'clock to go to my mom and dad's house. I gotta help my dad to move go to South Haven to get a bed. Yeah. But I ain't want him moving that bed stuff by himself. His heart already operating at 25%. Yeah, he gotta get a probably he gonna have to get a heart pacemaker put in so his heart can really start beating at any moment, really. Mm. Okay. Mm, 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 mm. All right, let's go back. Usually on my final touches, I usually do the crop to see on what images I can crop in and out of. But so I think what I'm gonna do is go back to all of them and just to make sure they all came out straight. So yeah, this is basically what I'm doing right now. I'm just making sure they all came out straight. And as far as the crop goes, really doesn't bother me if some of the portions of the image was taken away, because like I said, the Sony 7R3 is a high resolution camera, and the images always come out sharp, and you always still have a lot of pixels and everything to play around with when it comes to a special high resolution camera, especially the Sony 7R3, which is what I shoot with. So I don't really, actually, this camera is designed for creative cropping. So you can crop into it, and the image will still be sharp. But right now, what I'm doing, I'm just, um, I'm just making sure that the images are straight. So I'm just going through, just auto straightening them. I pretty much already did my smooth scanning. I said smooth scanning. I've already smoothed out the skin on all the images, and I already did the color grading and everything, and the lighting correction, which I didn't have to do too much at all. But did I do this one? Okay, I did. I need to see how they look. Oh, okay, that's cool. I can live with that one. Like I said, I'm just making sure all the images are straight. And so to save myself the time, what I could do is, well, I don't think I can, but let's see. Oh, yeah, I can. So instead of me having to just go through all these images, trying to auto correct them all, I'm just going to copy. I'm gonna copy one just to see how it turned out. Okay, so it did auto cropped and well, it did auto straighten all of them. So to save myself the time, I'm just gonna select one, and then I'm gonna do a shift click and go down through here, and I'm gonna paste it. So now they're all been straightened. So when I'm cropping these images, and for the purpose of my clients for wanting to use these images to post on social media and things like that, I usually crop the images roughly to to 4/5. So that way, when they post them on Facebook, they all, you're able to, it won't crop out, parts of the image when you post them, but it'll just show them what needs to be shown. You know what? My clients, they do, when I send them this the link to access all these images, they really could, crop the image themselves. I've just love to, to give them the final result. So how, whatever resolution that they want to crop their images to, I usually leave that up to the clients. So I just edit the final images and just give it to them. So, but overall, I think my job is complete as far as color correction, lighting correction, little um skin smoothing. I think I've accomplished that mission. So what I'm going to do now, uh, I'm going to go to the cloud. I'm going to go ahead and create an album for my client. All right. So I think it's a good practice, but usually when I edit in Lightroom, um I edit all the images um locally first before I move them to the cloud. I think it's just simpler that way. And I'm just going to scroll down. And I'm going to select all of them. No, not all of them. Let me filter out the ones. There we go. Let's filter out the ones that I thought were great. I'm going to send them to the cloud, but I'm going to send it to the album that I created. I'm going to hit OK. It's going to import all the images that's on the local drive to the cloud in Adobe Lightroom. So that way, when it's time to share the images to my clients, I could just send my client the link and she can access them and she'll have everything. And this usually takes a while. Hopefully not too long, but so this was me editing all my images and everything in Lightroom. And like I said, I still have to go through each clip um to see which ones turned out great so I can start working on the promo video. But I appreciate you guys for watching. I'm not gonna drag y'all through this, through the other stuff that I have to do as far as make sure my clients get her images. But I think I'm gonna wait and just give her everything. I'm gonna give her all the link to access all the images, and I'm gonna also create a link when I'm done with the promo video so she can have access to that. So I'm gonna make sure she had access to everything. So right now, um, I'm just letting all the images finish uploading to the cloud. And this may take a minute, so I may have to hook this up to my Ethernet so it can upload fast, I guess. So this one I'm in right now. So I got 52 images left to finish upload to the cloud, which is going to take a while. So that's where I'm at right now. So I appreciate you guys for watching, for tuning in, chatting with me. And even if you didn't say anything, you were just watching, I still appreciate you for tuning in. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it. And I will hop back on live soon in a little bit and we'll start working on the videos. And please, and before I end this, please make sure if you like this video, y'all hit that like button and y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button to my YouTube channel.